Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I am the guy who has convinced himself to pick against Gabriel Bonfim. There's no real reason to do so. Gabriel Bonfim is immaculate as it stands right now as a fighter. He's got an immaculate record, and any trait he's been forced to show to win a fight, he's shown it. He's got a few third-round finishes, one by submission, one by knockout. The knockout came at the LFA level against some guy named Brenner. He's got like 6 names, but at least one of them is Brenner. And Gabriel Bonfim, again, there's no reason to doubt him. He's a striker first and foremost, very disciplined boxer, and you could see it in that Brenner fight that he carries his technique late. But he's a very disciplined striker, powerful, good volume, and overall, he's a better submission artist. Even though I'm sure he would tell you he's a better boxer. As an MMA fighter, he's one of those guys where the results speak for themselves. 13 wins, he's got 10 submissions. It's like RoboCop Rodriguez trying to tell you, no, I'm a jiu-jitsu guy. It's like, no, you're Mike Tyson. Go watch yourself fight. You're Mike Tyson. Well, that's what it is with Gabriel Bonfim. He's a striker first and foremost, but he is more dangerous as a fighter with submissions. And he's got 10 of them. 7 of them are more dominant submissions, rear naked chokes, arm triangles, and the Von Flue choke that we saw in the Contender Series. But he's got some others in there too, triangle and whatever else. He just seems like a very good fighter with a very solid future. And I'm glad he's in the UFC. I know, win or lose, he's going to stick around and he's going to take some names. The thing is, I'm picking against him here because Mounir Lazzez, despite what he showed me in that loss against Warley Alves, what he's shown me in every other fight, I trust him. I trust a lot about him. The one thing I don't trust is the fact that he's 35. I don't know how the fuck that happened. I thought he was in his 20s, but he got going late. I think he started fighting 10 years ago or so, and it took him a while to get to the UFC. And here he is now, 35 years old, which would be more of a concern if he was finished if his chin failed him. He was finished by knockout against Warley Alves, but it was a body shot. And speaking of which, that body shot was the perfect shot. Warley Alves, as I said in his pre-fight video, he is a first-round fucking monster. That's when he's firing on all cylinders. And he's absolutely a physical beast. He's got physicality on his side in most matchups. And just, even though he's more dangerous with the guillotine, that's more of his first-round threat, it was just the stars aligning and him landing the most perfect, powerful body shot. And then he landed like 3 more and put him away. But still, the first one was enough, I think. And it was a tough loss for Mounir, but still, it's not something I can look to going forward and say, he's got a weak liver. Not yet anyway. The chin, you can start writing shit off after somebody gets staggered, not even finished. But the body shot, you have to see him get put down more or hurt more. There's only a few guys that I might have perceived to have a weak body throughout time. One of them being Cowboy Cerrone, maybe Matt Brown, but definitely Matt Brown. But Mounir Lazzez, I can't say that about him yet. And I say that like he's going to be fighting for another 15 years. At 35 years old, I don't even know. But my point is, I think he's in his prime now. What he showed me in his wins against Angelusa and especially against Abdul Razak Al Hassan, which that fight speaks well for his chin. Abdul, as I covered last week, he's got all first-round knockouts, aside from now the second-round knockout that he got last week. But he's a killer. And Mounir Lazzez was able to take it and give it back. He took over that fight, and he's an excellent volume striker down the stretch. Really like his work rate. And the same goes for the Angelusa fight. Angelusa doesn't have the prettiest record, but that guy is underrated. He's a very good fighter. Mounir Lazzez, aside from his loss to Warley Alves, he also lost a 5-rounder to Elder Eldarov, who is a guy who's got like a record of 20-1, and his one loss came like 13 years ago to Khabib Nurmagomedov in round 2, and that was a more experienced Khabib. So Elder Eldarov is a very good fighter, just one of those unknown greats outside the UFC, and he was able to grind out Mounir Lazzez and definitely won with pressure and smothering him. But Mounir still fared well there and generally was able to neutralize Eldarov offensively. And he even took a round from him. So I trust a lot about Mounir Lazzez. And with his 4 inches of reach, which I didn't get into the physical side there, they're about the same height. I think Lazzez is 1 inch taller, but he's got 4 inches of reach. And with that and his work rate, I'm thinking he can make Gabriel Bonfim uncomfortable. Even though Bonfim's skilled everywhere, he probably doesn't get too uncomfortable. But I'm thinking Mounir Lazzez is good enough to fight his fight, stuff those takedowns, which are responsible, again, for 7 of the 10 submissions come from domination. And if he's able to take that off the table for Bonfim, I like his work rate to win a decision down the stretch. So I'm picking Mounir Lazzez. Throwing a sprinkle on him by decision at plus 325, I think. And I'm betting on him at plus 150. Mounir Lazzez, because I can put that in money lines and whatever else. I just really like him as a fighter. And that Warlley Alves fight, I'm sure that's responsible for him being the underdog here. And it might prove to be, true. He might get knocked out. He might get knocked out with a body shot. But I'm thinking Mounir Lazzez tames the newcomer and wins rounds 2 and 3. We'll see what happens. Like, share, subscribe, all that horse shit, and check out my other videos.